Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Lauren, and on this channel I get into a lot of home stuff. I do a lot of cleaning videos, some decorating, and I'm actually starting a new series right now. I'm gonna go room by room and renovate. But no demolition, don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking down walls or anything like that. Today is actually the first day of this new series. You saw a little sneak peek last week with the Hobby Lobby haul that I did. It was actually more like Hobby Lobby and Home Depot, frankly. Get a little of the pretty, little of the gritty. So I pulled all the doors, in our downstairs at least, and I gave them a facelift. We had old hollow core doors that were nothing fancy. They had layers and layers and layers of paint on them. I just tried to make them look pretty, you know, make them look finished and not 50 years old. So this week, follow me as I redo those things and learn a lot. Watch and learn from my mistakes. So here is the before of the doors. There are 4 of them down this dark, dark hallway, and they're all sort of white hollow core doors. They're very scuffed up, and you can kind of see in the back there on the bathroom door, the very, very last one, my template for what I'm going for here. So it took me a long time to get these doors off. This is very, very fast forwarded, but most of the screws were painted over so badly that I stripped half of them. I had to go get all new screws at the hardware store. But it ended up being worth it because they'll be a little bit more reinforced because I got bigger screws. So first thing is first, I prepped all the doors, I took all the hardware off, and I was refinishing it, so I put it all aside, labeled it all, and then I washed all the doors and kind of made everything clean and ready to go so that I didn't have to worry about doing any of it later. Good morning, you guys. It's like 5:30 in the morning. The next day, I didn't get much done yesterday. I don't know. I thought I'd get more done, but I had some needy kids. So got up early today and I'm doing some stuff. I started stripping more of the hinges, getting the paint off of them, and this vinegar water solution is fantastic. For every 4 cups of water, I put in half a cup of vinegar and just boiled the hinges in there for about 15 minutes. Some of them needed 2 sessions, so they boiled for more like 25 to 30 minutes, but it's beautiful. Let me show you. It actually peeled most of the paint off. Okay, here are the hinges. I have labeled them T and B, top and bottom, for everything so that I know where they go back on. This, obviously, over here, the paint didn't come off completely, but it's smooth. And I'm gonna repaint these anyhow, so I'm not too worried about them being perfect. But look at this. It peeled the paint right off. It was lovely. It was bubbled up. I took some screwdrivers here and I just kind of popped it up. If you're not repainting them, don't use screwdrivers or anything metal because it scratched them a little bit, which I expected, and I'm okay with. But if you want them to look brand new, just as the metal is, don't use metal to scrape them off. All right, so I have one door here. I have sketched on it here and here where I want the lines. Sorry, we're half in the shadow here. So now I just have to repeat it on these 2 doors. So I just went around all the doors and made little corner marks to where all of the corners of the molding would go. And then I made sure they were all level with the doors and just drew some lines on them. In just a second here, you'll see me using a level. And halfway through, I realized the door isn't level on the ground, and that's why nothing was working out. So I ended up using this picture frame, which already had the 90-degree angles on them, so that made it a lot easier to line everything up. Good morning, guys. It is early, and it is cold in here. I have to cut the molding, and I have to put the molding on the doors today. I don't have any fancy power tools, so I have this. Never used it. Pretty sure I can use it, though. It's got a 45-degree angle mark on it, and that's what I want, so that the sides of the trim will meet up. I don't want them to overlap. I want them to, you know, meet up. So this is the trim that I got. It's PVC because PVC was a lot cheaper than lumber right now. So I'm gonna measure these. I'm gonna cut them. I'm gonna scuff sand them because I heard that's the best way for the paint to stick to them. I've never worked with PVC, really anything before, so this is new. This whole project is new, frankly. I haven't really done much of this before, so I feel like a lot of home projects are like that, though. All right, so I'm gonna figure out how to cut these I got just enough. I don't have any extra. So I'm really hoping I don't have to run back to the store. Cutting this molding was my first lesson. I knew that there was what I call a good side and a bad side to trim, like one side that is, flat or fatter, and then the other side that slopes down a little bit. And I cut the first couple wrong. So here you see me cutting a piece and then cutting the little tip off there and then cutting it again so that all of the angles matched and all of the trim went the same way on the door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these and I'm going to put them on each door because my brain can't stay that organized right now. Most people, say, oh, I need 10 of these and they make 10 of these. I can't do that. So I'm going to cut them, put them on the doors, lay them out, make sure I have everything, and do this for the next 5 days. My deadline's tomorrow, so I totally have time for this. It's done. I cut all the pieces. Look at all of this cutting. This door, you can see what it's actually going to start to look like with the sort of outline. The door is not white. This is the oil paint on that part of the door, but it only took me, look at all this. It only took me like 7 hours. I don't know how many of you have used a brad nailer before, but it was incredibly intimidating for me to pick up for the first time. It's got some weight to it. It's got some kickback, a little bit of noise going on there. But once I started, I couldn't stop. I loved this thing. It might be my new favorite tool. And my second major lesson from these doors came when I was attaching the trim. I found that I cut them all the same size, but I found that they never lined up. The first 3 would line up nicely, and then that very bottom piece here, you see it in 2 pieces, never lined up properly. So what I learned is you take one piece, either one of the sides or the top, and line that up how you need it to be lined up, and then put kind of the rest of the 3 of them down so that you understand how it's all going to line up and all of the angles match and you don't have any gaps on the corners. On most of the doors, I had to take the 2 side pieces and move them in or out maybe 1/8 of an inch to make everything line up with that bottom piece. I think that 1/8 of an inch is going to be such a small difference that you're not even going to notice once the doors are hung, so it'll all look straight to the naked eye. All right, now I have about 450 nail holes to fill. All right. So the moral of the story is to Google first. It'll save you 5 days of work. So, you guys remember how I said I had never worked with PVC before? Yeah. I consulted a couple people who I thought would know the answer to this, and they all said to use caulking to fill the nail holes. No. Please learn from me and never, ever use caulking to fill nail holes. It shrinks when it dries, so I have learned. So, long story short, after a quick Google session, I learned that you should use joint compound. Lucky for me, I had a large bucket of joint compound, so that was my solution. Okay, so the joint compound is on. I put it on yesterday, and it said let it dry for 24 hours, but nobody has that kind of time. So it's been about 20 hours. I feel like that's close enough. So now I'm going to sand it down, hope that it's dry. I'm scared. I just want to get, I asked my best friend the other day if it was appropriate to ask people to use the bathroom without a door on it because I'm done. We don't need doors. We don't need doors anywhere. And guys, don't forget, when you're doing stuff with old paint, make sure you've lead tested and you wear appropriate protective gear like, a face mask and glasses if you need. So it is time to paint. It's finally time to paint. So I was recommended this primer, Kilns, for these doors because of the PVC and the oil-based. I've used Zinsser, I've used Kills kind of interchangeably. I don't know if there's a difference. I've actually used this one a lot less, truthfully. So we're gonna do this. I'm just gonna use a brush. I want really thin applications, so I'm gonna use a brush because I feel like I have more control over how much paint actually goes on A roller, I feel like it's just a standard amount, and that's great for most applications that I do, but for this one specifically, because of the oil-based and the PVC and all the different kind of materials, I want a couple of thin coats of primer. So do this, let it dry. Hopefully it dries fast. It's raining out today, so of course, it never rains here, but it's raining. And then we'll paint. And then I'll be done with these doors. I can't wait. I can't wait. Just so we have a baseline here, this is the starting ground with all of the scuff marks and beautiful, beautiful nastiness. So now primer and paint, and we are good to go.
While I waited for the sun to shine, I was crying on my own. It was all a waste of time, all along. Yeah, I waited through the summertime for the sun to come around, come around, come around, come around.
So I ended up putting on 2 thin coats of primer. It didn't cover as well as I was hoping, so I'm hoping that the paint is a little bit thicker and will cover a little bit better, but they already look so much better. They were a mess. Today I'm gonna paint. I just went with, what do I have? Let me get it. All right, we're going with Scuff Defense. Scuff Defense. Bob, my paint guy, recommended it. With all the scuff marks that were on the doors before I primed them, the name sounds like something we need. So yeah, I didn't tint it. It's just ultra white. It's kind of what we're going for. With the gray walls, they're kind of dark, starting to like cave in on me a little bit. So I'm trying to include some brighter colors. We don't have a lot of windows in a lot of places, especially the hall where all of these are going. There's just no windows at all. So it gets a little dark and dingy in there. Yeah, okay. Let's get to painting. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be done soon.
Oh, the rain will beat the sun, 'cause your heart is on the run. The rain will fall till we fall in love again. When your heart is on the run, I will never see the sun. The rain will fall till we fall in love again, again. Well, you left me in the morning sun, oh baby, oh. I'll be back before the sun goes down, oh yeah. So I waited throughout the day for the night to come around, come around, come around, come around. Oh, the rain will beat the sun, 'cause your heart is on the run. The rain will fall till we fall in love again. Oh, when your heart is on the run, I will never see the sun.
You know what? This week I decided on my New Year's resolution, for lack of a better term. I don't like to make them. It's not something that I've ever stuck to, so I try not to do New Year's resolutions, but I made a resolution and it happens to be in January, so I guess it's gonna be a New Year's resolution now. So my goal is to be more patient with myself this year. I expected this week to get these doors done and hung, and obviously that didn't happen. And I found myself towards the end of the week getting incredibly stressed out because I knew they weren't gonna be hung by the end of the week. And nobody wants to be stressed out, especially the first week of doing all of these home renovations. I didn't need to push myself that far. So I took a step back and I said, you know what? The molding is on, the trim is on, They're primed and painted and ready to go. So next week, I'll hang them. It's not a big deal. Progress over perfection, progress over completion, however it goes. So this week, I got a lot done. I learned a lot and I got a lot done. So I'm proud. I'm proud of what I did. I'm not gonna kick myself in the butt for not having these doors hung. I'm just gonna be happy with the fact that they look pretty. That's what I was going for. I wanted pretty doors, simple things in life. So now I have pretty doors and I'm gonna be happy with that. And they're gonna sit there in my garage and look pretty until I can hang them back up. So next week, I will get into hanging them up. I have a few other projects that kind of go around them as well. If you want to know what I'm doing before the video comes out next week, follow me on Instagram. It's at Lauren Spartano. I'm getting better at updating there, so you'll have little tidbits of what I'm doing during the week before the video actually comes out. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got for you this week. I'm just trying to be kinder to myself this year. I feel like we could all do that a little bit. So, all right. I'm gonna go look at my pretty doors, and I hope you guys have a good week, and I will see you here again next week. Bye, guys.
Oh, the rain will beat the sun.